Sometimes a first date can be a heart-beating and exciting meeting of euphoria. Other times, it's an awkward or even cringe-worthy affair, or sometimes something in between. Today on Talkily, we share our best first dates, our worst first dates, and everything in between. Hello everyone, this is AWC. I'm here today with Laura.
Hi everyone.
With Sid.
Hello.
And with Christy.
Ciao.
And today we are talking about first dates, specifically the best first dates, the worst first dates, and first dates in general. Who has a good first date story or a bad first date story they'd like to share?
I have a bad first date story. So, as you know, first dates, I don't know about you men, but us girls, we like, especially if it's someone that we really, really like, we spend hours getting ready. We get the date could be at 7:00. We start preparing at 5:00, right? We do our hair, we do our nails. We may even go to salon to get our nails and hair done.
Never mind the hair removal process.
Exactly. Exactly. We pluck, we do everything on this first date to get to a second date. So this first date, it was when I was in high school. First date went on, and it was we went to a charity social. Got set up or was going on a first. I knew the guy, but I didn't really date him. Like this was this is our first date. We've talked and stuff like that. So this is the next step to go on the date. So, and he played on a specific football team. And this social that we went to, there was the specifics in this area of town. They have a football team and they have a hockey team. Did not know that they were rivals. Did not know that anything. I'm thinking this was a charity event, right? In high school, like they were raising funds for like a charity. So it's like, yeah, it'll be fun. Get, like a little outfit on, little hoochie mama outfit back in the, right? You want to look like a little.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what it's like to put on my hoochie mama outfit. Yeah,
flirtatious, but not easy.
Exactly. Yes, and you want the other girls to be jealous, like, oh my god, look at that girl, right? So we go to this social, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. The football players are starting to fight the hockey players. And this is like a first. So one of the football players comes to me, know that I went with this guy. Get him out of here or else he'll go to jail. He is going berserk. I'm like, how am I going to get this big guy, this tough guy, little old me in high school? I was like $110 or whatever. This guy off. Like, how am I going to drag this guy out? It was one of the scariest, most frightening dates, bad first date of my life. Very, very, yeah. I ended up getting him out of there, but I don't know how. Mind you, I was old enough to drink, so I probably don't even remember how I got him out of there. But I mean, it was like, wow. It was wow. That's all I had to say. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue, with any first date too, especially if you're not familiar with the person. It's because you have an expectation of how it's supposed to go. You always have this fantasy, like, oh, this is gonna, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna go out, and you're gonna say something really cool, and then you don't.
Yep.
But I mean, because there've been times, on some first dates, when I've gone out and I didn't pick the best location and I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
I would say one of my scariest first dates. I was sort of new to the online dating thing. I did the right thing. I met this person in a public space, had a lovely tea with this individual. Things were going well. We were going to go to the next location. I usually try not to get into a vehicle with a stranger.
Yes, exactly.
We had spent, 2 hours together. I wasn't getting any of my spidey senses tingling or anything like that. So I was like, all right, well, let's do this. So we get in the car and we're supposed to be going to this destination that we've agreed upon. And suddenly we're going past.
Oh my God.
Where we're supposed to be going. And I'm like, that was the restaurant back there. He's like, oh no, I've got a surprise. Guys,
That's no.
this is a huge no on a first date. Everything worked out fine. He wanted to go and show me Christmas lights,
but
but still,
Yeah.
you want to discuss this with your partner, particularly on a first date.
Yeah.
Particularly when you've just met this person like 2 hours ago.
You make it sound like you're trapped in a car going down some weird street away from the place you were told you're going to go to, and there's no way out of the car except to jump out of it.
That was correct. I had your number on my I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
I was like, who do I call in this situation other than the police? Because I don't quite know it. Like, this guy's just saying it's a surprise. It's a surprise. At some point, we are going to stop. So my plan of action is,
How fast can I run?
well, first of all, if he gets out first, can I lock the doors and trap myself in the vehicle and then call for help?
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Guys, do not
do not.
Don't. No.
Yeah,
no.
guys, please, seriously, if you're going to surprise someone, do it like on a third or fourth date.
Or
Even
the surprise
then-
would be a flower bringing to the first date.
Well, I think, I think surprises are fine. It's just you have to pick the right kind of surprise.
Yeah.
No.
Like
Yeah.
that. No, yeah. Like, for example, if for example, you're saying, if you tell your first date, we're going to have a picnic at this location, do it at the location. The surprise can be, I don't know, you have someone
Flower.
or like a waiter doing
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? Something
Yes,
like that.
yes.
Not like, you have to use common sense, and I think it's easy for people to forget that what they are imagining in their mind might not necessarily translate well. They forget that the meaning of driving in your first date to a different location,
Yeah.
in his mind, I'm sure he's thinking, oh, this would be so romantic, this would be great, not realizing this could be a scary thing because you just met the person.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it amazes me that, people don't have these kind of conversations or have these thoughts, and maybe we should have some type of discussion for something like that. Like, when people, and this is sidetracked, this is actually going way ahead and doing, marriage proposals. If you're going to propose to someone, you should know what the answer is already. You should have had that conversation well in advance.
Yep.
And do not pick out the ring. Ask what their opinion is. Do not, because that is the worst for the girl to open the box and it's like, no. You think it's nice for romantic? Oh, I'm going to pick out the ring for her. Unless you know exactly what she likes, get her to pick out 3 or 4 and then surprise her. Do not pick out what you think might be nice, because more than likely you're going to get the,
Yeah.
you are.
So let's talk about what makes a good first date.
laughter.
Yes.
Lots
Yeah.
and lots of
Yeah.
laughter. But not where you're laughing at, I mean, sometimes maybe when you laugh at the person just a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, you shouldn't be sort of judging the person with your laughter.
So you should be laughing with them, not at them.
That is correct. Yes.
I would say like 98% of that. I mean, you kind of want, at least for me, I like a little bit of a goofball, so I kind of want to have like maybe 2 to 5% of me laughing at them because they're being
Funny,
ridiculous.
being ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Don't take me to a movie on a first date.
yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
You know what? Just jump ahead a little bit, actually. Let's talk about good places for a first date, because for me, I always found, and Google will back me on this because I did do some Googling research on it. You have to be able to talk to your date,
Yes.
especially if you're just trying to get to know the person. So, so like movie on the first date?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
If you know
nope.
the person, that's different, right? But at the same
Yes.
time, it's like, I don't know, because I've done that on a first date before.
I think we've
but I knew
all
the person,
been on
yeah,
a first date.
but I knew the person before. I would never, like, if it's someone like really, really, like, you didn't know, like, you should go to like a coffee house or something like that. Somewhere where you can like talk to each other and get to know each other, right?
Yes.
I did have an epic, and I do mean epic, first date where we started out at a coffee house. We got along so well that we went then for sushi, and then we decided to go see a live production.
See, that's, yeah.
Yeah, but like that should be like third, maybe fourth activity if you're going to be having to sit in silence with someone.
Yes. Not the first one. Do not go to a movie and dinner. Maybe go dinner and then the movie. It just depends if you like, I mean, because it's a first date. What if you like go to the movie and you like the guy, like, or girl, like, has bad body odor or something you just don't like, and then you gotta stick to dinner or something like that with them. No, dinner first, and then you can decide. Oh, and let's talk about if you're going out on dinner, like to dinner, what not to order. Ladies.
You mean I shouldn't order like garlicky onion stuff?
Yeah, if you want to, if the girl is ordering that as well.
Well,
then it's because
she better not be, because no, I know what you mean.
But ladies, and you know what, and I've guilty of this too, and I've been told different. Do not order a salad and then think, oh, I'm hungry afterwards. I'm gonna start picking off the guy's plate. Have you ever seen the episode of Friends where Joey does not share food? Joey does not share food. You know, he wants to know he or she wants to know who you are. You're going to order a salad. You better be eating salads for the next year or something like that. Or that's like something that you totally do. Or like it's a good salad, like with meat and stuff in it. But if you're going to be like, oh, this is the first date, and like salad, like there's salad, you don't eat corn because then you're going to get stuck in your teeth, unless you're like kind of a bit of a goofball, and then you're like, oh, you know what? It's fine if I have corn on your teeth, you know?
Or you've gone to the Corn and Apple Festival.
There you go. Yeah,
Exactly.
The first date.
Yeah.
There you go. Expect corn or like anything that you have to kind of eat with but it's a first date. You don't know if the other person likes messy people or not. Because to me, on a first date, I do not want to see a guy eating ribs and have ribs sauce all over his face. You know, that's just me.
I think we should also talk about sort of what you should be doing on a first date, because as far as restaurants go, don't take your date to some really fancy schmancy restaurant.
No.
And like, you know what? I'm sure
Applebee's.
I'm sure this is going to split our audience, but I actually believe in going Dutch on a first date.
That would be good. Yeah. You know what?
Explain going Dutch.
So that's where you split the bill. So
Oh.
so ladies, you take care of your half. Guys, you take care of your half. If you've split an appetizer, you just split it down the middle. Or if you've ordered 2 appetizers, maybe one takes one and the other takes there. But there should be a financial sharing of the first date, because it completely takes away any sort of pressures or feeling like you owe someone something that you may not be at this point prepared to give.
See, my husband on our first date, he was like, he wanted to pay, unless you, I was willing to like go like half or whatever, but he thought he was like a gentleman or whatever, like in some, like, and he will, it's like, okay, fine, you know, but you don't decide that right away. You decide that, I guess, at the time if the bill comes, it's like, oh yeah, here's one. It's like, and he went like, yeah, no, it's okay.
I think everyone's different, right? And I think that's more of a generational thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because our parents, I'm sure that's how it was. The man paid, right? And that's how. And I don't know if men ordering for women was always a thing back then, or that was just always as the kind of like a not a good. Don't do that.
Do not
order what they're going to eat.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I mean, you have to kind of know your audience as well. Like some people like being pampered, but you should know that beforehand. You know, like I think you should kind of lay down some type of ground rules beforehand. You know, like.
But how do you talk about that when it's a first date?
Well, I think we have to define the concept of a first date, particularly in the world of online dating.
That's so true.
Because you have the first meet.
Oh yes,
that can turn into a date.
Yes. So is first meeting kind of like first dating?
Well, this is my question.
Because if you've been talking on the phone or if you've been emailing or onlining, you kind of know the person. So it's like, but you kind of don't, right?
Right, yeah.
But if you've been talking on the phone, you kind of know their voice.
Mm-hmm.
So the first meet, you kind of maybe get a little sense of them. I don't know. Like
I said, I think it can turn into a first date.
Yeah.
But like that first meeting allows you to be like, okay, am I actually attracted to this person?
Yes.
You know, does their smell offend me? Do I really like their smell? You know, am I getting weird spidey senses? That's going, you know what? You seemed like a really interesting, intellectual individual online or on the phone. In reality, I'm just not feeling it.
My rule that I have, you will not come to my place until I know you for 3 months. we will take separate cars for the first 3 months of us dating. And because that's how I feel safe. Like, you will not know where you may kind of know what area of town I live in, but you will not see my place for the first 3 months of dating me. Like, you just won't, because I don't. I've had so many bad relationships that's just not happening. But that's one of my rules.
Yeah. I mean, going back to what we were talking about, in terms of splitting the check, I think that's become more standard now in some respects. You know what I mean? Because, when you're first meeting someone, it's like you said, it was pressure. And I didn't realize this too with like fancy restaurants. Like if you're watching TV or whatever, movies, like a lot of the times the first date is always like this fancy date at a restaurant.
In
right?
other words, it's been overdone.
Yeah.
You know what you mean?
Yeah. But I mean that, but that's a good point you brought up about expectation, because before I actually researched this episode, I didn't realize that actually that is something that people would have to, I didn't even think of that. You know what I mean? Like, if you take someone out, if you insist that you pay the check, that you take it out to a very super expensive restaurant when the person isn't, if they're not a fancy person, you know what I mean? If that's what you think that they'll like, and when I say think, I mean like the person has specifically said, yeah, I love going to these fancy restaurants and blah blah blah. Specifically that. Yes. Right. That's different than just thinking, oh, I'm going to take this person to a fancy restaurant because it's fancy and it's a first date. Right. But yeah, it sets that expectation that
there'll be a second date, or
there's more on the first date.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Or some people will expect that, okay, you're taking me, for example, to 529. We're going to go like to 529 all the time, or we're going to go to like Highs, or we're going to go to like all these crazy ass expensive places. And it's like, well, why can't we just go to like Applebee's, or like just like somewhere somewhere cheaper or something like that,
I'm a huge fan of taking in parks, particularly at night. I just know this sounds really dangerous.
I'm like, that's a little dangerous.
But like in terms of like Assiniboine Park, going through the gardens
at night.
Well, like at dusk. There's people still around. That if you do get into issues, you can.
You're a lot braver than I am. Holy smokes.
I would say I would not do that with an online date, but someone who I had met through friends, or I had met in another social setting.
So would that be like you would go to like a park on a first date?
Yeah. Actually, one of my best first dates, I did know the person beforehand, and we got along really well. Friends knew him. He was actually a friend of one of my exes, and knew this person was a good guy. And we had a lovely first date. We met for coffee first, and then we went to Assiniboine Park and walked through the gardens. It had just snowed, and it was
a little dark.
It was a little dark, but it was incredibly romantic. Also, the Assiniboine Forest.
Okay,
the fireflies are incredible. But again, don't go on a first date with someone you don't know to probably a dark outdoor park.
I'm thinking Assiniboine Forest. That is like really dark. You just go into the forest. There's nothing.
How have all your first dates experiences kind of changed from like when you were a kid to like, now, or, before you met your partner, or when you met your partner of today? Because for me, as a kid, I was so awkward and so like, like no one, sometimes I think to myself, if I knew then what I know now, all those hints that I just missed, you know what I mean? Like,
don't go for looks. When I was younger, it was all about the looks. I didn't care how stupid the guy was. I didn't care if he had like 3 brain cells or whatever. It was all about the looks. Now, as I progressed, as I got older, to now my husband now of like 10 plus years, it's more than looks. You have to be intelligent. You have to have goals. You have to have there's a certain criteria that you have to meet now. It's not just about, ooh, you're good looking and hot and I want to get in your pants. No, you've got to have these goals.
So for me, I'll go back to my first date, which actually it was actually more of a first encounter. So I knew the person for maybe about close to almost a month, and then out of the blue, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And this was like a online dating, and it was a bit of a long distance relationship. So I was like, we were talking, and then Valentine's Day was coming up, and then she would be all like, "Oh no, you're not here on Valentine's Day," and I made like the rash decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna go up there out here, and then we'll just meet up and so on. And in hindsight, it's probably one of the most boldest and perhaps the most stupidest thing I've done. If you look back, if you lean back in just a moment, and you say, "Damn, like what if this was it could have been a bust, right? Like, she could have been like very stabby or whatever." So
I do have a friend who has been stabbed with a corkscrew. Not on a first date, though.
I'm like, on a first date. Oh my God.
No, it worked out in the end, but overall, like, yeah, we were together for a bit, and then in the end, it didn't work out. So, but yeah, like that was basically our first date, or our first encounter, rather, if you want to call it that way. I mean, we kind of both call it our first encounter. So, but yeah, I came back alive, I guess. So, but no, it was like, it's one of those things. From a safety aspect, you gotta make sure you know the person, and maybe I could have like. I should have like maybe even waited a little longer until the circumstances were right for us to actually meet in person, but I felt like I rushed that one in a bit. So yeah, that was something I probably would never want to do again myself.
I had a first date with a girl who I was really smitten with.
Ooh, smitten.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I thought it was going to be, and again, you go in, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and the date went really well. I was, it was one of those things where in my head, every time before I have a first date, I always have these fantasies in terms of like, how, I'm going to say this cool thing and she'll laugh. It'll be great. And sometimes, and sometimes I would do that, and then the joke wouldn't land, or it would be weird or awkward, or I mess up the punchline or something like that. But this time everything was going great. And then like I don't know, like our waitress came over to pour some water or something like that, and I don't know, they said she said something, and then my date said something, and then the way she treated her was like she made a comment to her.
Your date to the waitress.
Yeah, that wasn't, that I thought was kind of, that's kind of weird. And then she turned to me and she was just like starting to like go off on like how bad the service was here, and usually it's so great here, and that person is so, she just started going off on her, and it was like, it was like everything was going so great, and then that happened.
Yeah, you never comment on the service on a first date.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it's just a.
Or you comment on it in the car, not at the place where you're at.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Cool. But yeah. There was a second date.
Oh, there was.
Oh, really?
You were really
Do
smitten.
tell.
Wow.
Do
You were
tell.
really smitten.
Smitten isn't the word I'd use after that.
Lustful.
Yeah. It had been a while.
Okay,
but I will
said.
no. But I will say, if you get in situations like that, and because sometimes you're not really thinking, right? You're thinking thinking about other things, and you don't see stuff like that, or you do see stuff like that and you ignore it. Don't ignore it, because I can guarantee you,
She'll do it again.
and worse.
Oh, no.
And when you've already committed to certain things, and you've already done certain things. If we're talking about expectation, there's more expectation there, and in hindsight, it was a bit my fault, but at the same time, wasn't difficult. So, what am I trying to say?
No
You made some choices. They were poor choices.
They were poor choices.
There are poor choices made.
No,
If go with your gut. If it looks like this is going to be trouble,
It probably
after you get to certain steps, there's going to be even more trouble. The trouble will start here. It's going to go way up here.
It's going to escalate quickly. You know?
Yes, and it did.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys get kicked out of the restaurant or anything?
I think you're missing the subtext here.
We'll tell the whole story.
Yeah, I gotta.
No.
She criticized that?
No. That was fine.
I'm like, she criticized that.
She had choice words after that act. But after, I didn't.
Yeah.
After, I said, I don't think it's going to work out.
And then she said, oh my God.
Well,
holy man, yeah.
Well, woman scorned, I guess. I don't know. Like,
I could have like.
I wouldn't say it to your face. I would probably go and say to my girlfriend, well, yeah, I dated this Alvin guy and he was like, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say it to your face.
Well,
I would never call you again.
Yeah, well, and I always respectful. I just said, after the second date, I don't think that, it's going to work out, blah, blah, blah. And then, because, we had escalated to a certain level quite quickly,
Yes.
quickly.
And you should not do that on the first date.
No. But us guys,
when the offer is there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we won't say,
It goes.
Yeah, we're not, certain parts of our body turn off and certain parts turn on and then take control.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Again, I'm speaking in generalizations here.
Yeah, because we think with
stereotypes,
certain appendices
but
without
honestly,
using our brains. So.
And I felt bad about it afterwards, but I also didn't. I did and I didn't. I felt bad,
Was it?
But it's honestly not your fault because she that is not what you do. You do not have sex on a first date. No. Guys will respect you more if you don't. And if the guy is persistent, still say no. Cuz then they will come back and say, "You know what? Maybe she's that good. Maybe she's that good and I will pursue her because maybe she is that good and she wants to hold it out on me. Like maybe she's really is." Do not have sex on a first date. No. No.
I'm going to disagree, but
I'll be guilty of that again.
I think we've all been guilty of that. I'm guilty of that and it didn't turn out well. No.
That was my very first. That was my trip out there. So yes, that was kind of yeah. Don't do that. Please.
Yeah, don't.
Do not do that. Don't be like younger me.
Yeah,
kids.
Yeah.
Don't be like that. No. Absolutely not.
I'm going to advocate read the situation, make some consensual choices, and know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think because and you have to be careful, right? Because you go in there thinking it's going to be a certain way. You have to try and be and it's difficult sometimes because sometimes you're really nervous, right? And you're preparing yourself. You're getting ready. You're trying to think of good things to say. You're always worried about awkward silences. It's always the first. Do you try and hold her hand? No. Do you, what do you order?
Do you kiss her at the end of the night?
Do you kiss her at the end of the night? How are things going? You're always worried about saying the wrong thing. And I guess the best advice I can give to anyone out there getting ready for a first date, because I'm such a pro at it, apparently.
Well,
you shower.
You did.
No.
You did get married, so I mean that is sort of
a wonderful woman. Yes. Who loves me and I love her and I'm very lucky and don't I know it.
I feel like you're covering some stuff here.
No,
I know you.
She's not watching this anyways.
You have an extremely loving and wonderful relationship.
Yes.
I'm just teasing.
Okay, good. No, but be yourself. Be yourself. Be respectful. And try and be casual at the start. Don't work yourself up. Don't psych yourself out.
And be honest. Be honest. Like, I mean, if you're the younger me would not do this, but probably the older, like the more mature me, I would probably not say I'm so horny like right now, but we are not. I would probably just go along with it because I've done the sex on the first date and it did turn out bad. But now in my older years before I got married or whatever, it's just something that, I am very attracted to you. and I have these feelings, but I do not think we should go there on the first date. We should wait. And I think it's all the maturity level.
Yeah.
Like, and
exactly.
I feel sorry for, like, I mean, as a younger girls in their high school, there is so much pressure out there to sleep on the first date or sleep, like, I mean, to lose your virginity. No, like, you know what? Respect yourself.
And that's there with guys too. Even when I was in high school, because it's one of those things where, you're seen as being cool.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
having done
Yes,
it, and
Yeah. Like it's cool, or you're
not a man,
or you're a bigger man if you do this, or you're less of a man if you don't do this. All those things.
And it's BS. So if you're out there and you're a younger listener, viewer, whatever, don't listen to any of that. The right time is the right time.
Exactly.
When it's the right time. If you're going on our first date, don't have any don't like make these super high expectations that will only make you disappointed if you don't meet them. Just go out there, try and get to know the person, see if you are a good match. If you aren't, don't worry. There's other people. There's other fish in the sea.
Oh, exactly.
It's not
absolutely.
So often. I think a lot of people think this is the only. It has to work because this is the only person for me, and there's not. There's so many other people out there, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and it's hard. Put yourself out there, but you've got to put yourself out there.
Exactly, yeah.
You've got to, be maybe respectful and, learn what works and what doesn't for you.
I think more so than finding someone with common interest with you, you need to find someone who you can actually communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
And that in terms of like communication style, and what you value needs to be reciprocated to be a successful relationship and partner.
I think if you're going to go on a first date, be easy to overlook, I guess, for some people. Clip your nails, put on deodorant.
Yes,
Deodorant.
Please,
yes, please.
Deodorant.
Please put on deodorant.
But do not bathe in your cologne.
No.
Do not, or perfume.
No.
Or perfume. Do not bathe in it.
No. I don't want to smell you at all other than
your deodorant. Well, I like a little bit of cologne, but not like you bathed in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like be hugging you or whatever, or like later on like smelling like you, like I just like like you dumped me. Or
I don't want to be
that.
marked.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to be marked. Exactly, especially on a first date. No.
Hickey or perfume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of don't do thises. Let's have a lot of do's. Let's have a lot of do thises. Do wear deodorant. Do dress appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Do take a little bit of risk, but know that there are consequences when those risks don't pay off.
Yeah, so take risks, but if you calculate it too, if you know if it's not going to work and yet somehow it does, great. If it doesn't work, then you pay the price for it.
Take appropriate risks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be honest. Be honest. On first dates, that is when even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work, but at least you are honest. And tell the person up front, because it may end up making the person that you're on the date with laugh. Like you just say, you know what, I'm really nervous. And I may talk too much when I get nervous. So I may be talking a lot, and that's little quirky things like I know I talk a lot when I get nervous. But honesty is the best thing. And even at the end of the date, when the date's over, and if they say, do you want another date? Be honest. Just if it's not working out, just say, you know what, this I had a good time, but I don't think we're compatible. That's a nice way of saying it. I don't think we're compatible.
Yeah, and I mean, to branch out from that, I would say communicate with your date. Talk about expectations on your first date. Establish whether you share the same values. I'm not saying that you have to have the kid talk on your first date. Probably don't, unless you are a woman of a certain age.
Yes,
in which case,
exactly. Yes.
Then
no, I would say still don't.
Yeah, you probably don't. But or
marriage,
or what if you already have kids? You know what I mean?
That has to come up on a first date.
Yeah.
If you have, like nowadays, like I mean, divorce is so common. You have to say, like, it's like, yes, I have been. I did. like, I would like to know, have you been married? Have you not been married? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? How close are you to your kids if you have kids? What are their ages? I mean, these are just random questions that I would ask on a first date. Not necessarily like, or a first talk or like talking on the person, not necessarily, but a first date is like when you actually meet face to face. These are things that I would like to know. And that it's not that it's a bad thing. It's like, but it's something you need to know, right?
It's something that you need to factor into the evaluation of whether there's a second date or whether it is worth an investment of time in this person.
Exactly. It's like maybe this person that does never want to get married, but just wants to be like common law for the rest of life, but just does not want to get married. You know, like that's something that you should like know.
Yeah. I would say if that doesn't come up on the first date, certainly the second.
Certainly the second, yes. Before you start getting too smitten with them or before you sleep with them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And diseases.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is on the first. I'm sorry. That is on the first. Do ask if they've had all their shots.
Well, I think you'd bring that up when the time comes for you, maybe like, say, down the road.
I am not going to kiss you if you have cold sores. I want to know if you have had herpes or something like that.
I prefer that actually to happen on the second date talk.
Second date. Okay, yeah, first or second date.
The
Yes.
first one is just like a get to know you.
Yeah.
Is there some potential here? The second date is now an evaluation of, assuming that you haven't gotten all the way on the first date, in which case, have that conversation before you go there.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah. That's why, kids, wrap it before you tap it.
Wrap it before you tap it.
Wrap it before you tap it.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us today on Talkily for another cool discuss. Joining me today for First Dates was Sid, Christy, and Laura. Intro-outro music was Illuminate by Ethan Rank, found on ArtList. All additional music also acquired through ArtList. All images and videos in our show were acquired through Pixabay. Podcasting services acquired through Spreaker. And if you enjoy the show and would like to support us, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Visit cooldiscuss.com, visit our merch store, or consider making a donation so we can continue to produce awesome content for you. Please keep in mind we are just normal, everyday people talking about things we think we know something about. We are not experts on anything. Always take everything you read, see, or hear with a grain of salt. Never get all your information from only one place, and always be willing to question. This is AWC thanking you once again for joining us.